Hello, my name is Jason Ankin and this is my vlog channel. I decided to come out and do this alongside a river. So yes, today's video, I'm actually doing my video on my phone today. I've decided to use my phone because it's got better image quality than my camera. I'm going to aim to get maybe a new camera this week, or maybe just use my phone because it's actually pretty good. Today's video, I'm actually going to do this video on a topic called free thinking. So basically I want to talk a little bit about free thinking. I think this is a sort of an extension of my previous video, the one where I talked about my sort of minor existential crisis and my sort of desire for complete freedom. So this is, yeah, so I think my energy is pretty geared towards like desiring and wanting to be free. And I just mean complete creative control over all of my time, and being able to do whatever I want with my time. Just recently I watched a video, a podcast. It's called London Real, and it was talking about this individual called Dorian Yates. Now Dorian Yates is a super successful bodybuilder. If you don't know who he is, he was Mr. Olympia 6 years in a row, and basically it was London Real's most popular podcast ever. It got in excess of many millions of views, many millions of hits. And the reason why it was so popular is because people really wanted to know what type of guy Dorian Yates really was, because he was renowned. He was actually given a nickname called the Shadow, and he was called the Shadow simply because what he used to do is he would compete in silence. Basically, he wouldn't actually he wouldn't do any interviews. He wouldn't actually he wasn't really into publicity, let's put it that way. And so what he would do is he would train his ass off, and then every year when it came around to competition time, he would just basically come out of nowhere, so to speak, come out of the shadows, and he would just take all of the medals and then he would just disappear again. And even afterwards he sort of again rejected all of the sort of media and publicity and stuff, because he just felt that they weren't really giving him the opportunity to really express his message. Now, because Dorian Yates' interview was the most successful, they actually ended up doing a second podcast, and this is the one that I actually watched. I haven't actually watched the first one. And then just recently they created a documentary / movie about Dorian Yates. Now, it was on Sunday that I actually decided to watch this movie, and it really got me thinking about sort of basically what I was talking about, sort of the idea of sort of trying to live your life in a sort of free way, and being sort of having creative control over your time, having creative control over your life. And basically that was sort of the premise behind the video. It was like he had spent so many years bodybuilding, so many years focused on just getting muscular and he always described it as like he was a scientist. And basically, you know, he had a very, very systematic, very, very regimented way of going about it, and it was very rigid. And he realized afterwards that maybe he should have had a bit more flexibility within his time and maybe had a bit more fun. But regardless, he was super successful at what he did. And some of the things that he was saying in the sort of movie / documentary was he was talking about the idea that he doesn't really plan things anymore. Now, he doesn't plan things, he likes to live more spontaneously. And he just realized that you can pretty much do whatever you want in life. And this really resonated with me. It's really something that I can relate to. And basically, that's what I want to do. I want to do a video talking a little bit about thinking more freely, Now, what's really interesting is where I'm at right now. I'm walking along this river. This river is technically, I'm technically trespassing, because this river is only specifically allowed for a certain anglers club, and I'm not a member of this anglers club, so I just jumped the fence. And I think this sort of relates to very much what I'm trying to say. Free thinking is sort of the idea that you're not really limiting yourself. You're not limiting, you don't have limiting beliefs. You don't inhibit yourself. You don't view things negatively, like create negative feedback within yourself. And the reason why I want to do this video is simply because I see it too much. I see it too much in day-to-day life. So many people compartmentalizing themselves. The way I would describe it is they're sort of living in like a little bubble. Now, I know to a certain extent that following sort of fixed patterns of behavior and sticking in, being consistent and doing things with regularity has a lot of benefits. I understand that. But if you do it to the point of where you're actually limiting your life experience, I think that's very unhealthy, simply because you're going to die ignorant. And the whole point that I'm trying to get at is the idea that sort of there shouldn't really be any limitations to your life, and it's not like it's a choice or a decision. It's actually your birthright. It is actually your birthright. Every single person is completely free to do whatever they want, and therefore the idea is sort of, when people become sort of boxed into these sort of patterns of thinking or patterns of behavior, they end up becoming aversive towards change. And like, for example, in sort of typical day-to-day life, you would see it especially a lot in older people, where you try and maybe suggest to them something different. Maybe say if they've got stress, and you would say to them, why don't you do meditation? They would sort of look at you funny, as if to say, why would I want to do that? That's for like monks or whatever. Or for example, maybe in the gym, I would see people who want to learn about diet and nutrition, and they will ask me questions about diet and nutrition. I'd say, well, why don't you just get a book? Why don't you get a book and start reading about nutrition and start learning how to actually learning about your diet yourself? And people again would have sort of an aversion towards maybe reading, because they might associate that with being kind of nerdy or being like boring or whatever. Now, I've been going through a lot of personal change myself, and it has a lot to do with the fact that I'm just experimenting and trying new things. I've always been an outside of the box person. I've always sort of thought outside of the box. I've never really followed tradition, and that has a lot to do with what I think is it's really taught me a lot about life as itself. It's really taught me a lot about life itself, and I know things that other people just simply do not. And it's purely because people box themselves in. If I go out and you maybe go out with my friends, now I don't even drink alcohol. So if I go out at the weekends, I'm the sober one. And people will say to me, how can you do that there? How can you be sober? And it's like, well, I actually want to look after my health. I actually, I can have a good time without alcohol. I want to save money. I don't want to make a fool of myself. There's many, many reasons why I don't want to drink alcohol. And I'm very unconventional in that I would do different things. I meditate, I read books on science, I read books on psychology, I read books on philosophy, I read books on spirituality, personal development, strategy. I'm really interested in sort of understanding myself and really interested in understanding life itself as well. And the problem is I see so many people that just live in this little narrow, compartmentalized way of thinking. And I think it's really, really sad because they're completely unaware of it. And just to put it into context, I mean, even where I'm walking right now, walking along this river, this is out of bounds. You know, I had to drive 3 miles to get here, and then I had to bounce over a few fences just so I can record this video in peace. Now, this fence here that blocks off the public to doing this little walk is illusory. It's not a real barrier. It's been created by a person, and they say that you cannot go over this boundary. But in reality, can you really own this river? This river was created by nature. Can you really own this? I don't really think that's fair. You know, the person who sort of signed the contract, signed their name on the piece of paper that says that they do own this, again, that's kind of illusory. You can't really own. You can, obviously, and there's consequences. You know, if someone catches me right now, they could maybe give me a telling off, or I could maybe get fined or something like that. But that's the point that I'm trying to say, is that I don't care about these superficial barriers. I don't care about these sort of these things, because I want to experience life, and too many people are just afraid. They're afraid to actually go beyond their limitations. They're afraid to actually break through certain barriers. And I wanted to sort of create this video with the intention of sort of saying that you shouldn't. You should actually just go, do you know what, screw it. I'm actually going to do what I want to do. Now, one of the things I've definitely noticed when I've went through a lot of change, doing meditation and reading books about spirituality, reading books about philosophy, when I'm hanging about with especially some of my older friends, I don't resonate with them anymore at all. It's almost like when they don't resonate with me, they think I'm going weird, or I'm going soft, or I'm turning woo-woo. They might even say like I've lost the plot. But I would say, you know, there is no plot. So there isn't a plot that you're meant to follow. There is no set way. I mean, here's the context of things, guys. You're in a universe, and no one knows how that thing came into reality, but it's here. You're a smart ape walking about a planet that's suspended in outer space, and there are no rules. All of these rules that we create, they're either created by somebody else outside of us, or they're created by ourselves. Now, one of the things I'm most concerned with is not necessarily, I have nothing against people creating external rules, as long as I don't harm anybody, like jumping over this fence to walk alongside this river. I'm not harming anybody by doing this, and actually it's very peaceful. There's nobody here, and I can't get annoyed by anybody or be bothered by anybody, so I'm willing to take the risk for the peace. But the idea is not limiting yourself. That's what's most important. It tends to occur when you suggest something, like let's just take for example, I was to suggest to you or somebody who's never done something like meditation, and I would say, right, why don't you start taking up meditation, maybe do 2 15-minute sessions twice a day. They would start to look at you funny, and all of a sudden you could pretty much guarantee that they're going to come up with all of these excuses under the sun. You know, that's not me, I'm not that type of person, I don't know if I can do that, it seems really boring, etc. And they will come up with all the excuses of the day not to do something like that. But here's the problem, you can never really know anything until you actually experiment and try. And when you actually do something like that, you realize how beneficial it is. Yes, it's unconventional. Yes, it's progressive. Yes, it's not common. Everybody else isn't doing this. And I've had such great difficulty because I went through like an internal transformation. and it's very hard for me to find people who are going through this experience as well. But that doesn't stop me actually taking these risks, because I realize that I only live once. I'm only going to live once. I don't know what happens beyond death, and to be honest, I don't really care. I'm alive now, and I want to experience life now. I value my time, and I realized a couple of years ago that I'm not going to get another shot at this, and I want to do it right, and that's why I do things like meditation, and do things like distance running or martial arts, or setting up my coaching business, studying my degree in sports science. I don't drink alcohol because I know that it screws up my body. I've switched to a vegetarian diet because I realize how beneficial it is, and I take risks because I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of going beyond what I currently know and understand. In fact, I crave it, I desire it. And maybe that's something unique in me. Maybe I don't know whether other people can do this as well. Maybe other people have got issues that they can't overcome, and maybe there's something, maybe some of the experiences in my life have actually enabled me to be able to basically take those risks, because I realize something that they don't. I don't know. But yeah, that's basically all I want to talk about. The idea of sort of, don't limit yourself, don't box yourself in to a set pattern. Look at your life honestly. Ask yourself, am I doing the things that I really want to do in my life? And if you aren't, I would suggest sacking those things off. Am I hanging about with the people that are going to benefit me and push me forward? If not, sack them off. And don't look back, because at the end of the day, you're going to end up somewhere better off. You're going to end up somewhere different. You're going to experience life on your own terms. And don't get me wrong, it's not easy, it's difficult, but you don't do these things to have an easy sort of, you can't expect it to be easy, making change, but you can expect the results. You can expect the results to be worth it in the end, and that's basically the most important thing. You can look back in your life and go, do you know what, actually I tried to do what I tried to live my life on my own terms and do what I want, because nobody knows. That's the truth. No one really knows the answers. No one really has all the answers, and the only person you can truly trust and truly rely on is your own self. And if you can't trust yourself, then you've got a lot of self-reflection and internal sort of development still to go. But I trust myself. I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses, and that's purely because I put myself in situations, I've taught myself information, I've done things that challenge me. I put me in situations that are maybe difficult or uncomfortable, and from that I've learnt actually that the process of actually putting yourself through change is worth it for the results you receive after it all. So yes, I'm going to end it there, and so thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. And my name is Jason Ankin, and this is my vlog channel, and I will see you later, guys. Bye.